You brought up war, and I know you've always been a staunch anti-war advocate. That's why you're unpopular. That's why the Democrats didn't like you. That's a big reason why they gerrymandered you out of your own district. You can keep Dennis up, please. And so I was watching Morning Joe the other day. I actually wasn't. I can't. I used to watch. I would stay up extra late. When I started the show, and I would watch Morning Joe before I went to sleep because it came on at like 3 a.m. And people go, "Why do you do that?" I go, "Because I like to go to bed angry." And so here is Chuck Schumer. Chucky the Schumer's on, and he's got a big. He's got a big bill he's trying to push through, $118 billion. $118 billion. I always say, wouldn't it be great if Chuck Schumer came up with a bill for $118 billion that he wanted to spend on America? Wouldn't that be amazing? But here he wants to spend it on foreign wars. He wants to spend it on Ukraine, and he wants to spend it on Israel. So let's listen to what he has to say.
We're at a turning point in America. This bill is crucial, and history will look back on it and say, did America fail itself? Why is it crucial?
Did America fail itself? Is that the question? Yes, Chuck. Every day for the last 50 years, America has failed itself. This isn't so much a turning point as Wile E. Coyote looking down after he walks off a cliff. That's what this is. And, okay, here we go.
Well, if we don't aid Ukraine, Putin will walk all over Ukraine. We will lose the war.
Immediately. He's on to you, and he's on to Ukraine. This is the turning point for America, blah, blah, blah. Does Chuck think we all have a crackhead son who works for Burisma? Is that what this is about? That's weird. He said if we don't stand up right now for Ukraine, that Russia's going to walk all over Europe. Listen.
We could be fighting in Eastern Europe and a NATO ally in a few years. Americans won't like that.
Wait a minute. I thought that was the point of, so if...
What about the jobs? We love jobs.
First of all, never about jobs, but it's always about war. And he says that if we don't send another $100 billion to Ukraine to fight this proxy war, which is an economic war with Russia, has nothing to do with saving the sovereignty of Ukraine. They could have had that. They had peace agreements. The 2 Minsk Accords had that. They could have did that. They don't want that. They actually wanted this, and they also wanted to blow up the Nord Stream pipeline, which the United States did because they want to sell more natural gas to Europe, even though Germany's now spending 4 times the amount for their energy than they were before they blew that up. But my point is, he said that if we don't stop them, it's that whole thing. If we don't stop them there, we're going to have to stop them over here. Well, now they're saying if we don't stop them in Ukraine, we're going to have to stop them in other parts of Europe. Isn't that what NATO's for? Isn't that what NATO? That's why NATO. We have NATO. So if he attacks a NATO country, NATO comes as a deterrent, not the United States constantly. That's where I thought we had a deterrent. I thought the deterrent was called NATO. And anyway, so here, I'll play the rest, and then I'll bring Dennis in.
If we don't help Israel defend itself against Hamas, that perpetual war will go on and on and on. If we don't help humanitarian aid to the starving Palestinians in Gaza, hundreds of thousands could starve. And the border, everyone has said it's chaos. You just saw Speaker Johnson. He said it's chaos. We have to do something legislative a few months ago. But what has happened, in answer to your question, so this is crucial for America. It's a turning point. History is going to look over our shoulders and say, did we rise to the occasion? To his credit, Mitch McConnell did. But too many Republicans, including Speaker Johnson, are just scared to death of Donald Trump. Donald Trump has said he wants chaos. Donald Trump has said, well, wait till I become president. That'll take at least a year. Ukraine could be gone. The border will get much worse. War in the Middle East will get worse, maybe bringing us into it. He's doing it all for political reasons. And let me just say, will senators, the crucial question, the $64,000 question, the majority of Republican senators know this bill is the right thing to do. It's a compromise. I don't like everything in it. Neither does McConnell. What? But it's a compromise. That's the only way you get things important done in the Senate. We proved that 2 years ago in our bipartisan legislation. And will the senators drown out the political noise from Trump and his minions and do the right thing for America? It's a crucial question. History is looking down on every one of us right now.
Is history like Jesus or something?
I don't know, but isn't that weird? Because the last time we had an emergency, they just locked everybody down without any legislation, and they didn't tie it to Ukraine or Israel. They just got those lockdowns done quick. But it's weird. He's saying you have to drown out the noise of Trump and his supporters. His supporters are half the country. So he's saying you have to drown out the noise of American voters. Dennis, what do you say to this kind of crazy warmongering?
Well, without addressing my friend Chuck Schumer directly, I served with him in the House, but we're certainly on opposite sides on this one.
Wait, Dennis, would you say we gave the wrong Schumer a comedy show after seeing it?
Well, so I'm listening to that segment, and I remember my friend Gore Vidal, who wrote a book called "Perpetual War for Perpetual Peace." So we're set on a path here for perpetual war. Now, what happened in Ukraine is we've sacrificed the flower of Ukrainian youth. Russians sacrificed their young people in a war that was essentially about energy markets. As a result, the price of energy went through the roof in Europe. There was a destruction of an energy market, the blowing up of the pipeline. We have a pretty good idea who did that. But in terms of the policies here, for America, and that's what I'm concerned about. I am not concerned about any of these other countries when it comes to what are our priorities. Our obligation is to take care of America first and foremost. Everything else gets set aside. But what we've done is we have empowered a coalition, an economic coalition involving Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And as a result, we have created a bloc, an economic bloc, that will threaten U.S.'s hegemony. Certainly, it'll threaten the dollar because there's more money trades going on now in yuan or in rubles. The U.S., this policy of constant war is undermining the American economy. The elasticity that the dollar has provided for the American economy's growth is being shelved. We're being destroyed by these constant wars, and they were totally unnecessary. Jimmy, you started to talk about it. I think it was in March of 2022. There was a deal on the table that would have given Ukraine a tremendous amount of leverage and freedom. That deal was nixed with the help of Boris Johnson. And when a peace agreement of some kind or another, a settlement, is finally achieved, Ukraine will end up with less than they could have gotten a few years ago. In the meantime, you have all these dead people on both sides. And who benefits? Well, the war contractors benefit.
That's right. And the fossil fuel companies benefit, who are now selling liquefied natural gas to Europe at 4 times that, at least double the price that they were getting before, when they were getting it through the Nord Stream pipeline. So the same people, it's the same story. It's just a new package, right? And because of Russiagate and that complete hoax that we've debunked since day one on this show, we were the first ones in the entire country to debunk Russiagate, because I brought on Bill Binney from the NSA codebreaker. He was a top codebreaker for decades, and he told me there was no way that Russia tapped into the DNC server, and he proved it to us forensically. And ever since that, I said, everybody at the Young Turks, they're going to use Russiagate and our hatred for Putin to start a war. And here it is. They've always wanted to go to war with Russia. They thought it would hurt them economically. Then what we actually ended up doing was pushing Russia closer to China, which everybody from Henry Kissinger to Noam Chomsky said, you shouldn't do that. And they said that for decades. And here we are doing that very thing. The very thing that the establishment told me Donald Trump was going to do, which was wreck our reputation with the world, make everybody, our enemies, stronger, and now is happening under Joe Biden and the neocons he's in bed with. Now we are having power centers developed called BRICS, right? So now there's economic power centers that are there to oppose the United States hegemony. And once the United States dollar is no longer the reserve currency, that's going to tank our economy. Right now, Saudi people don't know about this because they don't want you to know about this, but our dollar, ever since we went off the gold standard, is propped up by the petrodollar, which means Saudi Arabia has agreed not to sell oil in any other currency except the U.S. dollar. Well, because of our war in Ukraine and this meddling we've been doing all over the world, Saudi Arabia has started selling oil in other currencies, which is bad for the United States. Nobody will tell you that except this show here. So all the things that they say that Donald Trump is going to do, Joe Biden said Donald Trump is going to start a war with Iran. And now he's starting a war with Iran. So let me just.
But what if Russia attacks Europe with cheap natural gas, like they're doing?
But hold on a minute. I
Go
just
ahead.
want to, one of the things that I'm talking about back home here to people in the 7th Congressional District where I'm running as an independent is that you go back to 9/11, and since 9/11, the average family of 4 has this regime change wars. It's cost that family about $100,000. Think about that.
Got to spend money to make money.
Go ahead.
Right, but you think about that. You have, I think it was Brown again. The Watson Institute may have discussed this. You've got about $8.2 trillion in the debt that's attributable to the wars. You divide that by, 4 families of 4, 83.7 million. You get about $100,000 per family of 4. War's creating poverty in this country. We're not taking care of our own people, and we're all over the world telling people how to live. But our job as a nation should be to take care of our own people. And we sure aren't doing that because, look, child poverty's up. You have life expectancy down. It's harder for people to get a home. Overdose deaths are through the roof. What are we doing about America? And this is where our people in government are losing sight of what our purpose is. It's to take care of America first and foremost, not be running all over the world telling people how to live. We know we've all had neighbors. I don't have those neighbors now, but we've all had neighbors in our life who want to constantly put their nose in our business, and they end up not being the best neighbors.
Hey, come see us do a live stand-up show. We'll be in Bend, Oregon, Portland, Seattle, Philadelphia, Avenel, New Jersey, Boston, Palm Springs, Stockholm, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Berlin, and London. We're adding a second show in London. The first show sold out. See you there.